What I have for you today is an exploration of moving the pelvis in the frontal plane. The frontal plane of motion is a side plane of motion. So if I were standing, my pelvis would tilt from one side to the other. And this is a motion that we want to be able to do in life. And sometimes when we have when we're working with some tension either in the hips or the shoulders, the area between the pelvis and the rib cage, essentially here across the side of the body, can get a little sticky. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to be lying on our side. So I'm turning my pelvis to the side here, and we'll be lying with a rolled blanket right at this crest of the pelvis here. So if I turn the pelvis upright, these are the top crests of the pelvis. And you can kind of feel those bony prominences at the front of your pelvis. So one on each side, those two sticky outy bones there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a rolled blanket and just bring the blanket roll right just a little bit above those two hip crests. So right around where you can feel the rim, top rim of your pelvis here. And when we're lying on our side over this roll, it'll give us the ability to tilt the pelvis sideways, so to speak. So for this movement, all you'll need is a blanket and something to put under your head. I have a yoga block. You could use a couple of pillows or some more blankets. And you're going to take your blanket and just roll it up so it's maybe 3 to 4 inches thick. Now everybody's a little bit unique in how much blanket roll they need, but you can start there and just go by what feels comfortable for you. So what I've done here is I've turned the blanket so it's horizontal, and then I'm going to place the block in front of the blanket. I am going to take my microphone off so it doesn't get all jumbly when I lay on my side. So here, I'm on my left side, so I'm sitting on my left hip. Now, I'm going to feel again for that rim of the pelvis here. Just kind of sensing where the bone, the top of the pelvic bone, I can feel where that place flows into my soft waist tissue. And when I lay down over this roll, I want to have the blanket roll right at that top of the pelvis, the top of the pelvis crest there. And then I'll bring my head onto, again, some height so that I feel somewhat comfortable. Okay, so now from here, you can just bend your knees a little bit, maybe 45 degrees or so, and rest your top arm alongside your leg. Just breathe here. Letting your body relax, settling into the earth. Releasing any bits of tension that you might feel through your head, your shoulders, your torso, your hips, legs, or feet. And you can feel the roll creating a little bit of lift right on that side waist. Very, very slowly now, staying with your breath, we're going to start to tilt this top side of the pelvis down towards where the feet are. So the movement is very subtle here. I'm going to put my hand to show you. You're tilting the pelvis down towards the foot. Sometimes when I work with folks and I'm watching them work with this position, when they tilt, they're actually using their upper body, their shoulder, or they're bracing in their back to try and move the pelvis, or the pelvis will actually go forward or back in space. And there's just a disconnect between the brain and what we're asking our body to do. So you might need to start out quite small with this movement. Again, it's just a little tilt, only using the parts of the body needed to do the work. Here, the muscles around the waist and the hip are what help to tilt the pelvis. So as I keep my hand here, you might be able to see that it's kind of a small movement. So doing a couple more like this, just nice and easy, remembering to relax in between repetitions. If you feel any pain or strain, make the movement smaller. Go slower so you can really feel, and your brain has a chance to reconnect to this movement pattern. And then, once you've gone several times like that, remove the blanket. If you can, take your head support away and just lay onto your back, and you can have your knees bent or your legs straight. And just notice what you might sense in the one side versus the other, through the pelvis, maybe even through the legs. Perhaps you're noticing a little bit of space or lightness through the torso or even up into the shoulder. And then bend your knees and roll back over to one side. And we'll do the second side, and I'll do it with you. I'm going to show this from the back. So I'm going to take my blanket roll and place it horizontally across my mat again, and grab my block. Take my microphone to the other side. So here I'll be turned away from you so that you can see the back side. So I'm sitting on my right hip, very close to the rolled blanket. And then I lie down so that I can feel the roll, again, right at the top crest of the pelvis on the side there. Knees are bent. And then here, I'll just take my hand to the top side so that you can see the connection of where there's actual movement here. So first, before we do that, let's just take a moment to rest. Come back into your breath. Just giving away the weight of your body to the floor here. Find some slow, gentle breaths. And then connecting into the top of the pelvis here. I'm just going to slowly tilt the pelvis downward towards the foot, and then release. Pause, and then do that again. Now, noticing here as you're doing this, the movement again will be quite small. What you're wanting to see if any of the following are happening, whether when you tilt, if you're using your shoulders or your neck or your lower back to help, or perhaps your pelvis is tilting forward, rolling forward towards the wall in front of you or back towards the wall behind you. All of that, we just want to let go of that. Maybe move in a smaller range of motion, just tilting the pelvis in this frontal plane. Reconnecting to that ability to move the pelvis in this way in a relaxed fashion. Just a few times, remembering that if this increases your pain, move in a smaller, slower range of motion. Keeping the pace slow is helpful as well. And then after several times, press yourself up away from the floor. Take your blanket aside. And then lie down onto your back once more. You can stay with your feet on the floor, or you can stretch your legs out. Place your hands on your torso and just enjoy a few breaths. Noticing the effects of this movement. Enjoy another moment here just to relax. Feel settled and spacious. And when you're ready, you can roll to one side and move on with the rest of your day.